we are going to move on for a special recognition today. Before we call him up, I wanted to turn to colleagues to say a few words before I call him up to read him the proclamation and we take a picture. But with that, I'm going to start with the Vice President and then go to the Transportation and Environment Chair, and then we're going to go around. If colleagues wish to speak, we'll just go one by one in the order on the dais. But with that, let me turn it over to Vice President Stewart to embarrass Dr. Orlin.
Thank you very much. So I want to share my sincere thanks to Dr. Glenn Orlin for his years of dedicated public service to the state of Maryland and here in Montgomery County. First as a transportation planner, then as a council staff analyst, as the council deputy director, and the man who you can call about a variety of questions for council members, for staff, and members of the public. It is always a good idea to hear what Dr. Orlin has to say. He has a wealth of institutional knowledge, but I also want to say he is a wonderful colleague. And one example is we celebrate a lot of birthdays here on the council and in the council building. And maybe it's the cake that draws him to these festivities, but I truly know it's the opportunity to celebrate the individuals he works with and to support everyone here. And that is what Dr. Orlin does. Whether you're a new staffer or a seasoned one or a confused council member, Dr. Orlin is there to help you. As one of the newer members of this body, my time working with Dr. Orlin has been short but extremely impactful. We worked together on the amendments on the recordation tax and through many issues that have come before the Transportation and Environment Committee. It has been a pleasure to work with you, Glenn, and I know you will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Chair Glass.
Thank you, Mr. President. Glenn, congratulations on a lifetime of service to the residents of Montgomery County that you have proudly called home. I remember first meeting you probably about 15 years ago, which is a flash in the pan compared to your tenure, but I was in the Leadership Montgomery program, and on one of the first days we took a tour of Montgomery County, and you were on the bus helping lead that tour. And all I knew of you before that was that people called you the 10th council member. What I learned after that bus tour was that you had an encyclopedic memory of Montgomery County and also of Major League Baseball. And, you know, while your knowledge of Montgomery County has certainly come in handy, baseball has also come in handy when we at the T&E committee have been thrown curveballs, particularly, yes, please, with the CIP and with other issues that we needed to understand the history of projects and figure out a path forward. And it is your observation coupled with your creative, strategic thinking and ideas, also added a little wry sense of humor, which has made it a joy to work with you and has made you and your tenure here so incredibly important, not only to the council and to the staff, but to all of the residents of Montgomery County. And while we might not be working together on TNE, I know that we will continue hearing from you as you become the next Civic Association president of East Bethesda, perhaps, in your spare time. But Dr. Orlin, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Now we're going to turn it over to colleagues, starting with Councilmember Jawanda, and we'll just go around the dais.
I'm sure Glenn is worried about what's going to happen up here, but don't worry, we're all very grateful. Yeah, I remember one of my first meetings with Glenn was in my office. I had my little table, and we were going over something, and I remember he was kind of leaning back and telling me the history of it, and he said, "Well, I wouldn't vote for that." You know, and I can't remember what we were talking about. And to the point that's been made, probably be made again, Glenn, now we have 11 council members, but Glenn was, and in many respects, the 10th council member, and he would let you know what he thought. And that was a good thing. We didn't have to agree with it, and he knew that. And he would say that too. He'd say, you can do what you want, but this is what I think. And that type of candor, knowledge base, accessibility is needed when you're making difficult decisions for 1 million plus people and billions of dollars, which he moved around effortlessly within the CIP, and could find you money under the proverbial sofa if you needed it. As someone who worked most of their career prior to being elected as a staff person, not as nearly as long as and ably as you did, I want to thank you for that, because that work of public service behind the scenes is important. And the county wouldn't function, people wouldn't get what they need if we didn't have people like you dedicating their lives to doing that. The other story I'll mention just briefly is Cheerio Gate.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that will get mentioned. And I meant to research the day, but maybe someone can find it by the time we get to the end, so that we can have the millions watching at home go pull up it was when we were all virtual during the pandemic,
Yep.
and we were all figuring out what Zoom was and how to use it. And, you had to snack, you had to stay awake. And Dr. Orlin grabbed a box of, I think they were regular Cheerios, I don't think they were Honey Nut, and started going to town with his microphone on. and I think when he got to the end, there was a emptying of the box that went down. And so that will be one of, I think, of our lasting memories. And just congratulations on just years of service, and to your lovely wife and family, thank you for letting us borrow him and use his expertise for all this time.
Well, Glenn, I guess I'm up to bat, huh? Is that, if we've been throwing curveballs? Glenn, we've been told to limit our remarks to 1 or 2 minutes to tell you how much we think of you. And as you know, that'll be plenty of time for me. In my previous life, and I say this without trying to make a joke, I knew of you as truly a subject matter on transportation issues. I mean, whenever someone would talk about a transportation issue in Montgomery County, they'd say, well, we worked on this, we worked on that, but what does Glenn Orlin say? And on my time that I've seen that here, I sincerely appreciate your guidance and your assistance. To Will's point, we don't always agree on every topic, which is when you were wrong, Glenn, but it's also very comforting to know that you're here, or we're here, and you still are here. We both, as has been mentioned, both could be on the cake eating committee, because if anybody takes out a cake, you don't have to look around. Glenn is there holding it for you. But in all fairness, I know that you have made the graduates of Wheaton High School truly proud. Yay. Thank you very much, Dr. Orlin, for being here and being our friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service, Glenn. And similar to Evan, I had the opportunity to meet you, it was about 17 years ago also, in Leadership Montgomery, as you were giving this incredible bus tour. And your love for this county shone through that entire experience. But the first time we had the opportunity to work together, you may not remember this, but Bruce Adams convened a meeting because there was a ill-fated and short effort to try and bring a minor league baseball team to Montgomery County. And I was serving as the director of the recreation department then. But it was then that I saw your technical expertise and experience that was invaluable, not just in that meeting, but in the 18 plus years since I've had the opportunity to work with you since then. You have mentored many of us, and you have been incredibly patient with many of us, myself included. And I want to thank you for your outstanding public service and leadership. Your footprints are all across this county, and we are better off because of it. Thank you so much, sir.
I met Dr. Orlin when I was on the planning board. And, when you're on the planning board and then when you come to the county council, you get to meet a lot of people. And I have my list of people who I really enjoy with talking to. And those are the folks who are not just smart, but also who make me smile and have a sense of humor, because you cannot be serious all the time. And so I know that every time I see you and I talk to you, I know I'm going to have a good laugh And I think that's a good compliment, by the way. But anyway, it's great to have to getting to know you, and I look forward to the continued partnership with whatever role you're gonna take, because you cannot be retired. You're just gonna be somewhere else. We need your brain to continue working for Montgomery County somehow, especially if it's free. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So I can't remember when or how I met Dr. Orlin. It's been a very long time, and as many people mentioned, most likely through Leadership Montgomery and hearing about transportation. And I had the fortune of being the programs chair for Leadership Montgomery for a very, very long time. And every year we'd have to put the curriculum together and decide what we were going to do. And one, maybe the only sacred cow, was the transportation day with Glenn Orlin. So it was always, I can't imagine how many leaders in the community have an understanding of transportation because of the time that you spent with Leadership Montgomery for all those years. So I thank you for that. And then also we had the great misfortune of being on the BRT working group many years ago, and we met every other Wednesday night for, it seemed like, 17 years or something like that. And I can only imagine how many evening meetings you spent in your tenure, which meant nights away from your family. And that is a great sacrifice that a lot of people don't think about. So thank you for that. I've only been on this side of the table for a little over a year, but I've been on the other side of the table for many, many years. And I just appreciate you, Glenn, for your knowledge. And regardless of the role, I always knew that I could contact you and hear from you, and just the knowledge that you shared. And I just want to thank you for your knowledge and your patience, but most of all, your kindness. So thank you.
All right, Mr. Orlin, Dr. Orlin, Glenn, thank you so much for making my transition to the council so much smoother and easier. It's safe to say that in your retirement, a formidable institution, literally a magnificent library is walking within you. And so to say that you'll be missed is an understatement. My earliest memories of you as a new council member is just, as everyone has mentioned, just how remarkable your knowledge and experiences across this county over the years, especially when it came to tackling my first capital budget, the transportation issues, the inner workings of this institution of ours, and more importantly, your willingness to share that with us is that immense knowledge is just so appreciated. Your love for the county council and this county has always shown through the measured comments. My office team quickly knew to consult with you on important matters, because we knew when it was time to tackle these issues, you'd be willing to help everyone out, no matter the ask. The long nights, the long days, the late emails. 4 decades is a long time to serve in an institution. And so you have done so with great distinction and care. But you do deserve a break. Your shoes are going to be very difficult to fill. And I understand that you will not be taking your knowledge base to London so quickly. You'll be an advisor to O'Connell and Lawrence, so we will be keeping close tabs on you. But we know that there's a special place for you in London. Hopefully we'll be knocking on your door soon to compare and contrast on all the things you'll miss about our transportation system here. And wish you all the best in your next chapter. Thank you.
So for that relatively small but growing population of the community who is, plugged into local government, I think a lot of folks, they really, they know about us, the county council members. But what folks don't realize is that there are so many other people in this building who are part of moving this government forward in a positive direction. And you, Glenn, have been a key part of that for so very, very long. So much longer than I will ever sit in the seat, no matter how many times I succeed in re-election. When I look at just the impact that you have had on my work and the work of my office in the 1 year that I have been here, the recordation tax bill, for example, the wealth of knowledge and experience, not just of how things work in the current and how to crunch those numbers and all of the many different options that we have at our disposal, but also the history and the context that you're able to provide to me and to my staff as we work through the decision-making process. Is just absolutely invaluable. And so when I take that one little snippet of that impact that you had on that one bill, which is already, it's already having a major impact on capital projects in my East County district, and we extrapolate that for how long you have been doing this work, it is really, really overwhelming. And so I am personally so grateful to you. This council clearly is so grateful to you, but there are millions of current and future Montgomery County residents who, if they had any inkling, would absolutely be so grateful to you. So thank you so much for all of your work and your dedication and your thoughtfulness and your quiet diligence on behalf of this community. Thank you.
As the last of the newbies to talk, I was thinking back about how 20 plus years ago I went to clerk for a brand new judge on what was the Maryland Supreme Court, or now is the Maryland Supreme Court. And when I got in the building, I was told that the judge next door to my office, because I was separate from my judge, he knew all the things, right? He had no computer. Never wanted to touch one, never used one. But if I went in and asked a question, he could quote me which case book it was from by citation. I don't know how he did it. I'll never know how he did it. But I knew that when I was stuck with a thing, I was going next door to ask him. And before I came here, in that period of time when you're coming, but you're not there yet, it didn't matter. Your reputation is far beyond the corners of this county, and folks were saying, well, on all things transportation, Glenn Orlin's the person to talk to. And of course, your door is always open. You always give it to us straight. You don't need to spin it. You give us the history, you give us the why, and you allow us to do the jobs that we need to do on behalf of the community. So while I know you're saying goodbye, I know that your long-standing efforts and the influence you've had on the rest of us in the building will be with us for years to come. And in particular, everyone's commented on your diligence and, of course, your work ethic, but the people stuff matters. And in addition to cake, you very much enjoyed getting to know us all as people, our families, our backgrounds, our likes, our dislikes, and that matters. And so for those of us who will be left in the building, I feel like, you've set a pretty high mark for us on what it means to be part of a long-standing institution and how to do it right. So thank you for that, and thank you for your service.
All right, we're going to invite Dr. Orlin up here. I'll just say a couple comments of my own, then read the proclamation. There is probably nobody who has had more of an impact on more issues, fiscal and transportation-wise, in Montgomery County over the past 4 decades than Glenn Orlin. I joke around a lot, and sometimes it's just to give him a hard time, but GO bonds, I think, were named after Glenn Orlin. Sometimes I call him Glenn Oracle, and I'm not sure that's that we revere him so much that we think he can tell what's going to happen, or he thinks that, or a combination of the two. And I think a lot with colleagues, as some colleagues have shared. It's always great to be in a meeting with Dr. Orlin when Dr. Orlin will tell you what he would and wouldn't support with his vote on the county council. And then eventually he'll say, but it's your vote, it's your decision, you're the council member. But his encyclopedic knowledge of transportation history in the county, his ability to navigate some of the thorniest issues related to capital budget challenges, fiscal challenges, tax issues, has been absolutely essential and invaluable. And there have been some fun times too, not just the cake, which you've heard about quite a bit, regular fixture in every celebration that we have here, which I think is a testament to Glenn's connection to everybody who works here in this building. But also, and you heard Councilmember Jawando note this earlier, he called it Cheerio Gate. I used to call it Serial Killer. With a C, but that will always be one of the indelible moments of virtual meetings during the depths of the recession. That incredible moment that was captured in perpetuity, only equal to Bob Drummer's Rage Against the Machine, where he couldn't quite get his computer to work in the extent that he wanted. But we're so grateful to Lena, who's here, for sharing him with us, for sharing him with the public over so many years, and to you, Glenn, to have been able to do many other things with your life and your career and your time, but have chosen to dedicate it to the county and the community where you grew up and were raised. We're very grateful, and we're deeply, deeply appreciative. So with that, I have a proclamation. Dr. Glenn Orlin has served the Montgomery County Council with distinction for more than 33 years, and Montgomery County and its residents for 39 years, starting in 1985 as chief of the Department of Transportation's planning section and moving to the council in 1990 as a legislative analyst and becoming its deputy director in 1995. And whereas his dedication to public service, institutional knowledge, and expertise on transportation and fiscal issues, combined with his negotiation, mediation, and problem-solving skills, has helped to shape the infrastructure and community projects throughout Montgomery County and Maryland. And whereas, during budget season, Glenn's home away from home has always been the Stella B. Werner Council Office Building, where he honed his remarkable ability to find capital and operating budget savings and made seminal recommendations that helped the council fund essential programs and capital projects and maintain the county's coveted AAA bond rating as the longest-standing AAA bond rating in the country. Whereas always generous with his time, Glenn has been a mentor for new council staffers, provided critical advice and policy recommendations to council members, and shared his encyclopedic knowledge with community organizations and residents on behalf of the council. And whereas Glenn is a baseball aficionado whose passion for the game even surpasses rooting for his beloved Washington Nationals, he's deeply committed to the Bethesda Big Train, has attended a baseball game in every professional ballpark in North America. Think about that. And has a baseball cap collection that includes every major league team in the U.S. and minor league affiliate in the U.S. and Canada. I wouldn't be able to judge whether that's true or not, but I'll take his word for it. And whereas Glenn has brought skillful analyses, comprehensive recommendations, and his wit and wisdom to every issue that he has evaluated, he has provided invaluable and unquantifiable public service for the betterment of Montgomery County and its residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby honors and deeply appreciates Dr. Glenn Orlin as he retires and retools for Montgomery County government, wishes him success in his future work, and thanks him for 39 years of service to the council, the county, and to our broader community, presented on this 23rd day of January in the year 2024 by myself as council president and the entire Montgomery County Council. Congratulations, and thank you so much. We're gonna invite Holly. Can you come down and take a picture?